I'd like to share with you today what I believe is one of the most important keys to not only having success in life, but having well-being and living a life of joy. It requires a paradigm shift in how we see others, and it takes intentional practice. But I guarantee that this one shift will change your life. It has mine. Ever since we became self-aware as little children, we've viewed others as competition. If Johnny has the red truck, then I can't have the red truck. And so if I want the red truck, Johnny can't have it. Life was always a win-lose proposition, what they call a zero-sum game, and what I call the Toybox paradigm. So, armed with this truth, we began to see the entire world through this paradigm. If I win, someone else loses. And conversely, if someone else wins, then I have to lose. This view of life causes us to feel discontent, jealousy, and even anger when others succeed. And the negativity in the end becomes self-defeating. But life is not a toy box, and we are not in a zero-sum game. If we want to be successful and have joy in our lives, we need to stop thinking in this toy box paradigm. We have to learn to see others not as competitors, but as collaborators. Have you ever played the Chinese finger puzzle game? It's a woven tube about the size of your pointer finger, and two people put their fingers inside the tube, and then they try to pull it back out. But the more you pull, the tighter the tube gets, making it even harder for you to get your fingers out. The key, of course, is that both players have to work together and push in, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but expands the tube, and then both players can easily remove their fingers. Most of us spend our lives expending so much energy pushing against other people for fear that if we work together, the other person might gain some advantage against me and win. And since I see the world through this toy box paradigm, if they win, I've got to lose. And since I don't want to lose, I need to make sure they don't win. But in truth, the toy box paradigm often results in no winner at all, because expanding all that energy and making sure the other doesn't win, we frequently create an environment where we can't win either. Because life is not like a toy box, but it is like a match. I'm sure you've heard this metaphor before. When you use a match to light a candle, what happens? Does the flame from the match jump over to the candle wick and put out the match? No, of course not. Assuming the match is big enough, it not only doesn't go out by lighting the candle, it momentarily burns brighter. And the end result is that we have two flames instead of one. By igniting the candle, the match has doubled the amount of light in the room. And when we can create the paradigm shift necessary to start seeing others as collaborators rather than competitors, we often find that the combining of our wisdom, insight, and talents means that we have access to twice as much, and both of us can win. When we understand that all of the wealth in the world comes from above and is unlimited in its potential, we can realize that there is more than enough wealth in the world for all of us. And when we join forces with others, when we collaborate, we don't have the amount of prosperity or light, we double it. This principle comes directly from the Jewish Bible, the Tanakh. Vayikra, Leviticus chapter 19, verse 18, tells us that we are to love our fellow as ourselves. And that means that if we want the best for ourselves, we must also want the best for our fellow. And of course, in doing so, we ignite a second flame. In the book of Mishlei, which is also called Ecclesiastes, chapter 4, verses 9 through 10, we read, "Two are better than one, because they have a good return for their labor. For if either of them falls, the one will lift up his companion. But woe to the one who falls when there is not another to lift him up." Now, it's not easy. We've been trained to see the world through this toy box paradigm from a very young age, and old habits are hard to break. But this is a practice we must engage in if we want to be successful and have well-being and joy in life. This is Penina Taylor, and that was Just a Thought.